So today I'm going to install this here hitch on my Jetta. So underneath, I already pulled off the cover for the evap canister and also unbolted the evap canister. Now I just need to unbolt the exhaust, which is 2 bolts up inside there. Right there, yep. And let me get that unbolted and I'll show you next. Alright, so now we got the exhaust unbolted. It was the 2 bolts right here and here. You also do unbolt the evap canister. There's a bolt here, here, and here. Those hold it up in there like so. And just kind of let it hang down. So after I drop the exhaust down, I set the hitch up on a pair of jack stands there. I got it pretty much lined up. So now we're going to take the new bolts that come with the kit, which are up here. These are for the exhaust. They replace the exhaust bolts because they're longer. And then these ones all drop down through the floor. And we'll get all this mounted up here in a second. Not gonna lie, it's a little tricky getting those 2 bolts up there into the hole. But so what I did was I kind of held up the exhaust here, holding up my exhaust pipe, because that was the heaviest part. It was more heavier than the trailer hitch in my opinion. So I held that up, screwed in the bolts there, got them started. They're still loose right now. So now I'm going to go up inside, empty out the trunk, because we got a large bolt hole here, and then the other 2 are over here. So let's get that going. Like it shows in the instructions, once you get your spare tire and stuff out, there's a rubber plug right here you have to pull out of the floor. That comes right there, and that's where that big bracket is. So then you'll need, I have a carriage bolt here that came with the kit with this large washer to help from tearing through the floor. And that will just kind of sit in there. So to be hidden away from the, so you can still fit your spare tire in there. Alright, next you're going to take the wire that comes in the kit with the little springy looking thing on the end, and you're going to thread the bolt into that until it's fully up against it. And that's how you're going to fish this carriage bolt and bracket through the frame rail to get the last bolt in. Alright, so this is going to be the really tricky part for anybody. So there's a piece of wire that I showed you on that bolt. That's how it threads on. But you need to run that wire up through the hole in the top of the frame up here, and then run it down all the way towards the front of the car and up to that big access slot up there. And then that's when you screw, or you slip the bracket on, and then you screw the bolt into the bracket. And I'll show you real quick what that looks like. So once you get that wire screwed onto the bolt, you'll have the bolt. See, it's just kind of dangling there because it's screwed onto the wire. And the other end of the wire comes out. Oh, the light's bad. But there's a hole right up here that you want it to come through. And then that way, when you pull this wire, it's going to pull that carriage bolt and everything all the way up through the entire thing, which is ideal. I promise you no part of this is fun right here. So once you get the wire fished up through and you get the bolt on the end, you'll get it pulled up through like that. And then you have that flat piece of metal on the back, that's what holds the bolt from spinning. Then you'll also slip that spacer up in there. And that spacer is then what holds that spaced off. Otherwise you'll kind of bend either your frame or this bar. So I assume that's what the spacer's for, just for extra support. But now once you got that, then you can thread it off. So then you want to unthread the wire, and you want to be extra careful to hold the bolt because you don't want the bolt to fall back up in the hole up in there, because then once that happens, you're pretty much SOL. There's nothing you can do after that. You're going to have to do some custom fab to get that to work. So we'll get the bolt figured out, and then we'll move on to the next part. So there it is installed. Pretty sturdy. Now I'll go ahead and put my spare tire back in, put all this back together. You see how that pulls really low once it's all tightened down so it doesn't interfere with the tire. show you the next part. Alright, so next you want to reinstall your charcoal canister, and then I put the screws back in, the screw that was there, and the screw right here, and then I put my plastic piece back in there. If you want, you could probably cut this to make it fit in there, but I'm not going to worry about it. I mean, I'm not too worried about this under trim piece that just covers the charcoal canister. So, and that's how you install this hitch here. Show you what I was planning with it here in a second. And so the real reason for putting the hitch on my Jetta. Now, I don't recommend having a lowered car because my distance from the ground is like not very much, but I mean, it's pretty good. Yeah. Sick.